Hey everybody, Grant here. I wanted to take a quick minute and I wanted to explain to you how I was successfully able to explain the value and importance of investing to a 10-year-old. Now, if any of you ever try to talk money with little kids, it can be very, very difficult because they don't really understand what's what. And that's a problem because that's what we all have a tendency to grow up with. We're not knowing what's what when it comes to money, then we're trying to overcome a lot of these problems. So I'm going to walk you through how I explained it to them. And the situation was, it was a 10-year-old that my wife and I know her since she was literally born, and she was over at her house, and she just happened to see that I had some cash sitting around, and wanted to understand where my money came from, where our money had come from, my wife and I. And much like other little kids, this individual, she wanted to be rich. She loves the idea of being rich, don't we all? And she's wanted to be rich so she could buy stuff. She wanted to buy a huge house and a nice car, and she wanted to make more money so she could do all this other stuff. And at 10 years old, all we do is dream, which is okay. But I had to explain to her the importance of investing. Now, of course, mathematically and what have you, it's very difficult to explain that to a child. So I gave her a for instance. Now, this is what it was. So we got two people. We got person A, and we've got person B. Now, let's say both person A and person B get $1 million. They inherit $1 million, which again, to a 10-year-old is an insane amount of money. Now, let's say person A decides that they want to buy a really nice house, and they want to buy, they buy a nice house, they want to buy a nice car, and they want to have some nice clothes. They want to have really nice things. So they spend, let's say, $800,000, but they have all great stuff. 10-year-old understood that. So I said, okay, let's take $1 million. We're going to subtract the $800,000 out, which it means we're going to have $200,000 left over. Okay? Then we said, all right, person B buys a much smaller house, buys maybe a used car, buys some nice things, but not a ton of nice stuff. So they spend $250,000, which means they have $750,000 left over. 10-year-old understood this. We're talking basic math. I said, all right, now person A, they've got a nice house, and they've got a nice car, and they've got nice stuff. Person B doesn't have bad stuff, but person A has much nicer stuff. That's what they like. They like that idea. They said, oh yeah, I want to be person A. I want to have the nicer stuff, the bigger house, the nicer car. I said, okay, that's fine. So you're in this instance, I told her, you're person A, I'm person B. Now, I explained to her that when you have more money, because you didn't spend it on other things, you can do what's called investing. And when you invest money, that money turns into more money. I didn't bother to explain the math to her in great detail, but I gave her a calculator and I said, okay, let's type in 200,000. That's how much money. Now we're going to do what's called 10% return, which means every year they earn 10% on this money. You don't have to understand how to do this. I'm just going to show you how it works on a calculator. So in this case, I said you're going to take that and we're going to multiply. So times 1.1 and then hit enter. That's how much money they have after 1 year. In this case, $220,000. So let's take this out, let's say 7 years. So let's hit enter 6 more times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That person now has a nice house and a nice car and nice stuff, providing nothing changed in value, and they have $389,743 in the bank. So that's what you have because you're person A. Oh my gosh, she was super excited. She says, yeah, that's the way to do it. That's what I want. Oh, that's super exciting. So let's take person B now. Person B is me. They had $750,000. And let's do the exact same thing. Let's multiply that 1 times 1.1. Hit enter. That was 1 time. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That person has $1,461,000. Their jaw just dropped. And I said, okay, so that means person A had a nice house, a nice car, and nice stuff for 7 years. And keep in mind, to a 10-year-old, that's literally a lifetime. Where person B had not as nice as stuff, nice stuff, but not as nice as stuff. It wasn't top of the line, best of the best. And they were willing to put up with that for 7 years. Now, person B has $389,743. That's what person A has. If person B wanted to, they could actually turn around and buy the exact same house person A had, the exact same car, the exact same clothes. They could have all the same stuff that person A had, except now, while they have the same house, the same car, the same clothes, the same everything, person B also has 2 houses and 2 cars and 2 sets of clothes and 2 of everything because they have the very first one that they bought and they have the second one that they bought. So they have twice as much stuff as person A. And not only do they have twice as much stuff, if all that were accurate, they would also have $661,000. So they have 2 houses and 2 cars and 2 of everything. And one of those things is just as good as the other person's. The only difference is they have a second house, a second car, second everything, and they have almost $300,000 more. And her jaw just dropped. I said, the only difference between the 2 people is one of them said, I'm willing to not have the nicest of the nice stuff for a little while in exchange to have more stuff later. And her mind was just blown. Then I took it even further. I said, okay, let's say instead of 7 years, they were willing to wait even longer. And I said, this is what it would have been if they waited 10 years. This is what it would have been if they waited 12 years. And she saw that person B ended up having, if they were just willing to be patient and willing to put in the time, that they would end up with even better stuff than person A had, and more money, more opportunities, more everything. And all it took was a little bit of patience, a little bit of time. By the end of it, and within 5 minutes, she said, I want to be person B. I mean, it literally changed the way that she thought about money. And we talked since, and she says she realizes that certain people around her, adults around her, love to spend money. And she now sees that she recognizes if you're spending money on that, that means that's less money that you have to turn into more money. And that's what I love to explain to her. I said, where does my money come from? I worked hard to get money, and then I took that money and I turned it into more money and more money and more money and more money. I said, I chose to go a little while without the super flashy stuff so that I could have better, cooler stuff later on in life. And it was being able to paint that picture to a child, to a 10-year-old, being able to say, this is what I want, this is the kind of person I want to be. And within a matter of minutes, showing her the dramatic difference just a little bit of patience will have, a little bit of patience, a little bit of effort to someone who literally, like I said, 7 years is almost their entire lifetime. So if a 10-year-old can get that in a matter of minutes, can you? That's something you need to ask yourself. Where are you choosing instant gratification? Where instead you could be delaying that a little bit and making more money in the long run. And it doesn't have to be thousands of dollars. You're going, that sounds great, Grant, but nobody's going to give me $1 million to do this with. Here's the thing. And there are some courses out there. I've taken, there's a couple of products and whatnot that I've suggested that you can learn how to do some of these things that cost, let's say it cost you $20. If you were to not go take your Starbucks for 4 days, $5 a day, take that $20 and put it into something else, maybe over the course of a year, it would turn into $200. Because all you had to be willing to do was give up that for a short period of time, then do the work. So making this as simplistic as humanly possible and understanding that there are tons of opportunities for you to make money. You just have to be willing to put in the time, the effort, and the work, which is really mostly just the time to learn and then being consistent with it and then being able to put a little bit of money in on the front end. And as more money starts to come in, you take that money and you put it into things that make you more money. You might maybe you invest in something that costs you $20 and it makes you $100. And instead of taking that $100 and going and buying a new pair of shoes, because the next year you're going to make another $100 off of it, you take that $100 and you invest it in something else. And that something else over the course of the year makes you $300. Then you take that $300 and you invest in something else and it makes you $1,000. You see how this continues to snowball until you get to a point where that whatever that dollar amount is, instead of 100 or 300 or 1,000 or 5,000, it's enough money to cover your bills. Then you can start pulling on it and not have to worry about bills and do whatever you want. Or you can invest more of it. Cut your spending down even more and invest more. And that's how people become insanely wealthy. And they say the rich get richer. And that's why. It's simply because they understand this concept. By going without on the front end and changing what you value, you can change your entire life. So if a 10-year-old can get it, I sure hope you can as well. If you're interested in some of the concepts, whether we talk about things like this, the mathematics of money, and this was an incredibly simplistic one, but I think important, or the mindset of money, we do a lot of videos on that, or you're interested in some of the different products that we test out and figure out, okay, does this have the opportunity to help people make money? We've got some videos on some products. They might be courses, they might be different products that you can sell or whatnot. There's a lot of different ways to make money out there. Make sure you click the subscribe button and click the little bell so you get notifications. Like this video. And if you're wanting to change your financial future, I'm happy to hear it and look forward to seeing you in the next video.